Okay, so this is the Spicy Girls podcast. I'm Kristen,
I'm Ginger.
and this is basically our way of kind of bringing our worlds together with nursing and lifestyle. And we're just here to have fun and hopefully entertain you guys a little bit.
And a little background on the Spicy Girls. So obviously my name is Ginger, but Kristen's is Kristen. And along the way in our travels, people have just started calling her Cinnamon to put the two spices together, and it just stuck. So we are the Spicy Girls.
And we are both from Tampa, Florida, both in our mid 20s. And we decided to do travel nursing together. We were both on staff at a hospital, and that's actually how we met. Our specialty is ICU, so that's how this whole adventure started. We each have a few questions to kind of let you guys get to know us. Ginger, do you want to go first?
Sure. Let me pull up my questions. Okay, so what is something that people seem to misunderstand about you?
I think that my personality can definitely be like bubbly or like a little over the top sometimes. So I think that can come off as ditzy or like I'm not taking someone serious when they want me to be. So I just kind of try to be intentional with my listening and my questions to combat that. But I definitely think that that's something that people seem to misunderstand about me.
Okay. And I can see that too, totally, because just being a woman in the workforce entirely, people just second guess you.
Yeah, exactly. My question for you, Ginger, is Backstreet Boys or NSYNC? It's very important.
Insane.
NSYNC,
NSYNC,
wow.
all the way.
Okay, do you know why?
Yeah. Yeah, matter of fact, my brother, my older brother, he's like 4 years older than me, used to love NSYNC, and my parents took him to an NSYNC concert one time and brought me home a shirt, and it had Justin Timberlake on it, who I was obsessed with as a kid. And I was probably 5, and I cut a hole in the shirt thinking I could see him from outside the shirt. And I refused to wear it for as long as I can remember because I thought he could see me naked. So yeah, I just love Justin Timberlake.
I was not expecting that answer.
Is this the kind of content y'all come for?
Next question.
Let me see. Okay, why did you choose to become a nurse? I know we get asked this question a lot, but what is your root cause for it?
I think this is the most cliche question asked in nursing and interviews in general, but
I know. We want to know your real answer.
I think everyone's answer is always originally to help people. But I think that truly nursing is a profession where you can kind of create yourself and you have all these different avenues and places to reinvent, and there's not a lot of professions that you can do that with. There's so many different like specialties and subsidies of nursing these days that, if you get tired of doing one thing, you can really do another. So I think for freedom to be who you are and scheduling purposes, it's a great career. And I can't say that there's just one thing that made me go into nursing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, look what we're attempting to do right now. There's so many avenues for you to constantly rebuild yourself. And if you don't like what you're doing in the moment, then okay, what do you want to do tomorrow? It's like the world's your
Exactly.
oyster.
And to speak on that, why CRNA over med school for you, Ginger?
So we had to do an assignment on this in one of my classes last semester. Why not just become a doctor? Which is like what everyone asks you. What are you going to school to be? Like nurse anesthesia. They're like, well, isn't that just a doctor? The same thing? No, it's very different. With mainly like to get down to the real cause of it, I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a surgeon. Growing up, I wanted to be in the OR. I don't really know why I just gravitated towards that, but one of the problems with being a woman is that you have a lot of societal pressures. You want to get married, you want to have a family, you want to have children. you want to do all these different things, and med school puts you in a position to be tied down to schooling until you're in your mid 30s, and then you start and you've got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans. So my brother, same one I just talked about before, mentioned to me, why don't you look into CRNA school? I had no clue what it was at the time, and I looked it up and I was like, this is perfect. This is a mixture of everything I want to do. I want to work with people. I want to have financial freedom. And I don't want to be tied down to societal pressures of when I need to do things. So it kind of gave me a little bit of everything I was looking for.
That definitely makes sense. I think that, you answered it perfectly. It's what worked for you and how you saw your life and kind of the direction that you wanted to go in.
Yeah.
On a funnier side, memes or gifts?
Hey, it was my turn to ask you a question. You can't skip me. Okay, back up, my turn. I have a secret question for you. How do you make your red sauce?
I have a secret answer that I'm not answering that question. You're
Kristen
never
makes
gonna
a
know.
bomb red sauce because she's 100% Italian. Look at her. And she won't share it with me. So
You're never gonna know,
anyway,
Tinder.
fantastic. Great. Moving on. Backup question. Good coffee in the morning or a bomb dirty martini in the afternoon?
Oh, I feel like you can't go through a day without either, so I don't know how to answer that question. But I do think it's harder to make a good martini than a good cup of coffee, so I'm gonna go with a bomb dirty martini, which the only way to drink that is blue cheese stuffed olives and Kettle One vodka. Thank you.
Thank you, signing out. She's done.
Thank you, signing out. That was the end of this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Now going back to my question, memes or gifts, and why?
Gifts entirely. I live my life through gifts. So
Okay.
if you get a gift response from me, that's about the best response you can get. I feel like memes are cliche. They can be overdone or you've seen them 100,000 times, but a solid GIF clears up any misconstrued
Okay.
topics.
I don't want to cut you off, so your
So,
turn.
all right, thank you. So, more serious question. I go to Kristen a lot for advice because she is a married woman. She is very independent and strong-willed. So, I feel like something we all want to know, is it hard being married while you are such an independent woman, especially in 2021, like, going away, travel nursing, things like that?
Yeah, and I think that completely depends on your partner, to be honest. I'm thankful in that my partner, my husband, is really truly my best friend and supports a lot of my independence. And, he's been with me for a really long time now, 10 years, and has kind of seen me grown up and cultivate this personality really. And I think that it's easier to understand how I'm so independent and be supportive of that when you've seen it, come to fruition, or, you've kind of watched the journey along the way. So I think that's kind of how I'm able to be so independent and married. Just a supportive person that really understands and wants me to meet those goals and helps me meet those goals.
Yeah. And for anyone who doesn't know, Kristen and Zach literally are best friends. And when I talk about her as my best friend, and I hope Zach gets to see this too, I always say, like, he's one of my best friends too. Like, there is no her without him. They're the best package deal you could kind of come across, like the package deal you want to be involved with. So yeah, I just love them both.
Well, you obviously know we love you, or else I don't think we'd be doing this together. But to that, is it hard living on your own? I do feel like we very similar lives, but very different personal lives in a lot of ways. Me married in a home, and you kind of doing your single girl city thing. So do you find that hard on your end?
I actually sometimes, for sure, I definitely enjoy it. when I was choosing whether or not to move to an apartment by myself or like live with you guys or like other friends that were offering,
Mm-hmm.
it was always kind of like I need to make it work on my own because I'm like a very introverted person naturally. Like I find myself trying to go out and do things and exploring the world, and then my social battery just drops to zero, and I need to be in my home here, just like quiet, do my own thing for a little bit. And sometimes it's a detriment because sometimes I get stuck in my ways and like, oh my God, how do I get up and do what I'm supposed to do? No one's watching over me, no one's checking me. So it really is kind of teaching me to be a decisive, independent adult and realize you're not always going to have somebody there that's making sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's. You got to do it on your own and wake up and find the motivation to do it for yourself every day. So, yeah, kind of.
I think you're doing it. I mean, I
Mm,
think, you got up and you do it every day. And I think that was a really raw and real response.
yeah, it's hard because obviously everyone, sometimes you just want to sit in your cocoon and be in your pajamas all day. And it's like, how do I not do that for the fourth day in a row? So, and a question for you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I know we talk about a lot of plans and things that we want to do. So I guess why don't you share where you see yourself to everyone else too?
I think, in the next 5 years, I really want to see myself, like I was talking about earlier, kind of these different avenues with nursing and really hone in on that and kind of build out this business, this podcast, really help nurses come to their own and figure out, hey, I can't do bedside for 40 years. What's next for me? And I am one of those nurses that burnout is real right now, and continuing at the bedside is, coming increasingly harder year after year. So I definitely think that in 5 years, it would be nice to see, me and you as a resource for people or nurses or really anyone to kind of come into their own and, have someone to say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think about it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah,
ultimately
like a
what I'd like to
consultant.
see our platform be, and just bridging lifestyle and any kind of questions, especially I think our backgrounds, like our personal lives and everything, that we do have a lot to offer. And I would hope to see that used for good.
Yeah, same. I like it.
And speaking about all of our
And this is
different
just kind of
topics, exactly. My last question to you is, what is one financial decision you wish you would have known earlier?
hmm. Um, I guess probably what I learned my freshman year of college, which was a little bit having to do with like maybe listen to your mom and dad sometimes. Although some of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life have come from following in my own path. So I guess it just is what it is. But my freshman year of college, I moved out to Gainesville and lived in an apartment with some of my best friends. And instead of, I guess, realizing the financial burden of it, I couldn't find a job up there in that kind of environment. All the college kids were looking for jobs, and I had to take out loans just to live for my apartment and for food. $50 a week was it for gas, everything. And so it was really hard, struggling. And in the process, I gained like $15,000 in loans in my first year just because of that. So maybe something I wish I knew earlier was to come at everything with a plan. And it definitely taught me. I moved home and lived there for a little bit, saved money while I was working. And then when the next opportunity came around to move out and live on my own, I knew that I was entirely prepared for the burden. And yeah, so you learn from everything for sure.
100%. I don't think there's any decision that you'll ever make in life where it's not a lesson or a learning experience or something that worked out for you. I
Yeah. And I
think
think
that, no, go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say, I think the big purpose of this podcast is because everyone kind of sees the side of ourselves on social media, and they see us being like going places and maybe spending frivolous money sometimes and just like living our best lives. But at the end of the day, there's like, there's something underneath of that. There's something that we both came from. and things that we've endured and stuff that we want to be able to share with you guys. We want to be real and transparent and just help where we can and share some of the funny shit that goes on along the way. So
I think you summed up like exactly what this podcast is going to be. Our mistakes, our successes. We plan on doing a podcast, I believe, once a week. Hopefully, we can stick to that schedule. We're going to have a website that's going to be open for questions. You guys, it's going to be an Ask Us Anything tab, and we'll get back to you and answer. You guys can put what you want us to talk about on here if you want. And obviously, we'll pull through social media and all of those things. But our purpose for this podcast is really just to talk to you guys and kind of answer questions along the way about everything in our lives that we've learned. And I think sometimes people think we're more interesting than we are, but you guys will find out quickly.
yeah. That's for
I
sure. I think on our first assignment, we got referred to as sewer rats because we literally just struggle through to always find. Yeah, even in the midst of absolute chaos and the worst of the worst, which we have seen, we just kind of find a way to scrap by like a little sewer rat. So really the purpose is to create a gang of sewer rats and just become a ratatouille in the world.
Exactly. And I think that's it for our first podcast. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, see you next week.